Welcome to the Veteran Lawyer channel, a place where unscripted life stories meet passion, truth, and transformation. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Retired Catherine Gishuki, a lawyer passionate in criminal justice and a storyteller. Here we uncover raw truths, unscripted life stories. We inspire change, we become vulnerable, and change perspectives. Let's dive in. Today I'm hosting one of my mentees, actually a Gen Z, an interior designer, and an amazing woman in this town. Let me invite her to tell you more about herself.
Thank you, Kate, for having me on board. I'm amazed to be part of your story today. My name is Claire Angoye. I am a fintech expert, a realtor, an interior designer, and a furnished apartments property manager. I'm glad to be here to share my insights, stories, and how Kate has impacted my life in terms of mentorship and business.
Claire, I'm happy to have you on board today to make this episode. Please tell the audience about yourself. What has been your journey like? Just walk us through it.
Thank you, Kate. I so much appreciate for having me here. As you know, my journey started in 2018. Straight from campus. I graduated from the University of Nairobi with a Bachelor of Commerce in Finance. And right away, I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers as an audit associate, where I worked for around 2.5 years. And I majorly specialized in auditing financial services companies. From there, I made a pivot shift into the startup world, where I worked at Fingo Africa as a senior financial analyst. I then moved to Quara as a strategic growth manager. So in terms of my full-time work experience, I have around 4.5 years of full-time work experience. Then now I pivoted to Magnifique Residences, where I focused on furnished apartments management, interior design, and basically being in the real estate industry. So my journey has been one of growth, one of resilience, and you have greatly helped me as a mentor in just shaping myself. And I remember when I made the decision to actually resign from my full-time position to focus on business, you were really a great coach in terms of just helping me do the transition. And I'm super grateful for that.
Wow, but can you tell us more about why the shift into management of furnished apartments? Why not anything else?
I will say this started as a passion. Initially, I started it as a side hustle, just to make extra money. I mean, we are in Kenya, and as women, we are brought up to always have something extra. And when I started this with guidance from one of my sisters, I didn't know it will have the impact it has right now. So the decision to fully settle into furnished apartments property management was first because of demand. Second, because of passion, because the more I did it, the more I realized, wow, I can actually scale this business idea into something more tangible and more sustainable. So I will say, as a result of my paths aligning at that moment, that I had now the opportunity to focus and I had the growing demand, I realized it's something that I can pursue and run with it and make an income out of it.
And how has that been? Would you mind telling us about the size of your portfolio, like how many apartments or houses you're managing? Is it only in Nairobi, or are you doing outside Nairobi? And how is that coming along?
Yes, of course, for sure. Right now, currently, I manage a portfolio of around 70 properties in Nairobi.
Okay.
I've highly concentrated in Nairobi for now because that's where my target clientele are. My business design is that I focus on the long-term clientele. That is business travelers, expatriates, and families who are coming in Kenya for vacations or staycations for at least 1 month and above. I also do short term, and this is what has kept me going. In terms of how the journey has been, as business, there's always the ups and downs. So far, so good. It has been really great, but challenges, it's been a steep learning curve because, first of all, this is an industry that has a lot of regulations, and also it has a lot of unseen scenes that you have to actually know how to navigate before they hit you as a business owner.
So for you to have managed to have a portfolio of 70 units or houses, there must be systems you've put in place, for you to be able to cover that kind of mileage.
Yes.
Please talk us through what are these systems that you have in place to ensure that then you're doing seamless business and growth.
I think one of the systems that I had to put in place real fast was the booking system, the revenue management system for the business, and the operations system for the day-to-day activities. I would say these are the three most important things to look at as a business owner, and systems to ensure that the sustainability of the business is not tampered with. And the first thing is the booking. So that means I have to ensure that all the bookings are on calendar. Managing 70 properties is not a walk in the park. I have to know which houses are booked, which houses are not booked. I have to ensure that I'm maximizing on occupancy, again, to ensure that the people I've invested within the business, they are getting a return on their investment.
Okay.
The next system is the operations system. I do not work alone. I have employees, I have housekeepers, I have operations assistants who help me run the day-to-day operations. So again, I have to do an allocation of all the units to know who is actually handling which unit, so that in case of any client complaints, in case of any client inquiries, I need to have someone on speed dial to actually sort the specific house matters.
Yeah.
And the third thing is the revenue management system. And this usually happens at the end of the month. I have to ensure that I'm submitting the correct financial reconciliations to all my partners that I work with in this business.
Yeah.
So in each and every booking, I have to ensure that the money, the revenue that is actually booked is booked in the system, and that it's reported as it is. So those are the key three things.
And taxes are paid.
Yeah, and taxes are paid as well. I mean, carry is all over.
Yeah, they'll be knocking at your door if you don't do that, and if you don't help your clients to be able to comply.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when it comes to management and operations, I want to imagine that, yes, we have houses, but there are issues that will come up, maybe plumbing issues, electrical issues. So do you have plumbers or electricians on call, on speed dial, so that when you have to handle those kind of mishap in a house, then it's very easy to coordinate with that? Do you have like a database or such people that you can call on very short notice?
Yes, of course. So for each residence, we usually have allocated plumbers, caretakers, technicians on speed dial. And I ensure that I'm not only the one who has these contacts, but also my assistants and the housekeepers have contacts. Yeah, because sometimes I might not be reachable, but my people are on the ground.
No.
So they are the ones who do most of the coordination to ensure that anything that is happening in the house is actually sorted, and that our guests are well taken care of.
Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of booking and the response, the turnaround time, let's say I'm interested in a certain unit and I go on the BAB platform, and you probably need to unpack that and tell us how that goes. Why is it important to have a very short turnaround time for a client who is looking for a unit to book? And how then do you ensure that that happens? And what are the advantages in the long run?
I will say, as a business owner, your response rate is very critical. And that is something that I have embraced in this business. So what I ensure is, at least within 5 minutes of conversation with the client, I already know what kind of house are they looking for, what are their dates, what's their budgets, and if our unit is suitable and available, and give them a prior booking approval.
Okay.
So, and especially when I'm working on the booking platforms like booking.com and Airbnb, you can always actually approve these instant bookings, so that when the dates are available and the client sends an inquiry, they can actually book the unit instantly. And to have that seamlessly working, I have to ensure also that if I have any offline bookings, I manually block the calendars on the online systems, just to ensure that we do not have double bookings in any of our units.
Mm-hmm.
So the response rate is very critical, as it limits the decision-making process for the client. The faster you respond, and the more accurately you answer the client's question, the easily they book the units.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it also helps with the visibility in the long run, because I think in my case, I realized we grew to superstar very fast, and that's dependent on how we were then responding to the inquiries. And the moment you have that star,
yes,
on your BNB app, it then means you're visible to clients who are looking out for units. Is that the case?
Yes, very true. And it actually makes you more trustworthy, because anytime the clients are booking, they see that you're actually a host who responds fast and you have a couple of reviews. So the trust in them booking your unit is actually accelerated.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the real challenges you've had to deal with when it comes to management of furnished apartments?
There are a lot, I can say, starting with trust issues from clients, damages, and also partnership alignment with various business partners that I work with. So I will quickly just run through them in terms of what is touching the clients and what is touching my partners. And specifically for clients, I will say on a daily basis, we get different types of clients. There are clients who will come, book the units, they are very well behaved, decent, they check in and they check out with no problems at all. I call them the 5-star guests. Those ones don't give you a problem. Then there are others who will come and they'll give you a difficult time. And you have to remember it's business. After all, you are not running a charity program. So one of the things I've had to actually put in place is having house rules for each and every residence. By the time the client books my unit, they actually know what kind of house rules they have to abide with, so that we have a seamless experience, both from the client side and my side. The next challenge, I will say, partnership alignment. And starting a business, you tend to hold more onto clients. But as I scaled up, I realized that partners and their principles, they have to be aligned. And it's okay to actually drop a partner.
What do you mean by a partner?
A partner, I will say, in this business, there are people I manage the properties on their behalf.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to look at a partnership and ask yourself, is it beneficial to me in terms of profit, in terms of commitment and everything? So at the end of every year, I assess my portfolio to see who am I retaining and who am I dropping, and if this business case actually makes sense. So it's very easy to be caught up with a lot of units in a portfolio, but they're not actually generating revenue. So, but having a finance background has helped me now look at it from an investment perspective.
Okay. So
Yes.
do you document these partnerships with the various partners? Do you enter into documentation? Like, yes, it's one thing for someone to call on you and say, Claire, I want you to manage for me this and this. But then do you document it? Are there rules and regulations that one has to abide by? And what happens when I then need to walk out of that partnership?
Yes, exactly. Very professional in how I handle my matters. So before I bring on board new partners, I have a legal protocol that I usually follow.
Okay.
And even before we reach into the legal perspective, I have to actually do a visit to the partner unit. If I'm the one who's setting up, come up with what the theme, the concepts, the interior design and everything. But if I'm not the one who has set up, I have to assess if it meets my standards and then accept. But on accepting now is when we start the legal process. We have the legal documentation on board, the contract, the property management contract has to be there, sign off on all inventories, and then the partner has to officially hand over the mandate of managing the units to me. Mm-hmm. So it's a quick, lengthy process, if I say, but very critical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you done with the challenge?
Yes.
Something else? Okay.
Yes.
So take us through how to set up a unit. So say in apartment XYZ, partner A has identified you, Claire, as the manager, and they want you to run with it. Where do you start and how does it start running? Just so for someone who else is interested, maybe to employ your services.
Yes, for sure. Setting up a furnished unit is very easy, but again, very difficult. The first step I start is having a sit down with my potential client, discussing with them their vision for the units, discussing with them their budget, if they have any budget commitments, and concept design. So the most important step here is to agree on budget. Like, how much is this partner willing to invest? Because the budget informs the kind of finishing that will be done. It informs the kind of quality of items that will be bought in the unit. It will actually inform me the concept design as well. So having a sit down on the budget, agreeing on the concept design, that is the first step. Afterwards, when we sign a furnishing contract with a potential client, is when now I get started on doing my magic. That is the interior design and decoration. Once that is done, I do a photo shoot. I list the unit on my booking platforms, and I officially start the marketing and bringing clients on board. Yeah.
Okay. Does the budget matter on the location of the unit?
Yes. I can tell you for sure. For instance, furnishing a unit on Thika Road is not the same as furnishing a unit in Westlands, because of the target clientele. The expectations are different. The kind of brands you will buy are different. I can give you, for example, it will approximately cost you, let's say, 1 million to furnish a 1-bedroom in Westlands, but it will approximately cost you maybe around 600 or 650 to furnish a similar 1-bedroom, but of a lower rate, let's say in Ruaka or in Thika Road or in Mombasa Road. Yeah.
Okay.
So the location heavily matters because you are designing for different clientele.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's good. It's good to know.
Thank
for
you.
Prospective clients.
Yes, very important. And that's why I usually advise all my clients, just don't look at these investments as somewhere you're going to pour money and run away. You have to critically think through. You have to be advised by the right people like Claire, so that the investments can make more sense later on. Okay. Because what I see is most people identify a unit, let's say in a high-end place, but they furnish with substandard quality furnishing. And then this unit struggles with occupancy. But really, when you go to the units to assess like what could be the problem, it's all about the standard of furnishing.
Yeah. And on the standard of furnishing, so do you have, again, maybe suppliers of the furniture, the decor, that then you're able to run to make it fast, to have a turnaround time that is, necessary to set up a place?
Yes. I work with a couple of pre-vetted suppliers for each and everything that I do, especially on furniture and electronics. I don't just go for any supplier. The supplier has to be pre-vetted by me, because in case of anything, I need this supplier to be on speed dial to come and maybe do a refurb or repair something that is spoiled, let's say like an electronic appliance. So that's why I use my own pre-vetted suppliers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Or is it also a case of, say, high-end units? Do you have identified furniture shops that you can walk into, identify certain furniture, and maybe they deliver for you?
Yes. I will say I partner with mostly the big brands, and this ensures that my clients are actually getting value for their money. So it's very easy for us as interior designers and decorators to walk into any big furniture shop and actually get our orders attended to, because over time we have built that relationship with them. And usually actually they have very good discounts if you're buying in bulk. So I usually recommend to all my clients who are focused on high-end shopping, go for the best. Don't limit yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You talked of photography, and it's one thing, and somebody can argue, why photography? I can just take a few photos with my phone and just post them on Airbnb or booking.com. Why is it necessary to have quality photos when you're setting up a unit?
I will say not all photography is interior design photography, and photographers have different skill sets. And I think this is where most of our units managers in Kenya actually go wrong, because people just think, okay, I'll just take photos with my phone, upload them, and get the ball rolling. But an interior designer photographer, they have the basics and they have the knowledge of which angles to actually shoot at. And having been in this business, I can actually look at photos and tell you if this photo was shot by an interior designer photographer or just a normal photographer, because they don't capture the angles the same way. And even on the platforms that we use, like booking.com and Airbnb, there's a quality of photos that is recommended. So for example, if I use photos that have not been done by a professional photographer, the system actually alerts me on that, hey, your photos are either low quality, they don't have the good lighting, or the angles are not well captured.
Okay.
And one of the key things I've learned in this business is photos sell. I have clients who will book these units for months just by looking the units. And the photos on the units exactly communicate what the unit is all about. And they give the client the assurance to now book the unit. So the first thing the client assesses is the quality of your photos. And that's why I recommend to all people that I work with, invest in photography. Do not try and attempt to do the shortcuts, but just invest in quality photography. Yeah.
And have a good budget for photography.
Exactly. And it's not cheap.
Yeah. But that's not to mean that you will use photos to mask, to make it look like a unit is not what it appears on the ground. Because then that can be problematic when it comes to, say, I walk into a unit, I had seen photos, but when I walk into a house, it doesn't look like what the photos show.
Yes.
Or showed me.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. One thing my photographer usually tells me, I will depict your house as it is with the photos. So for me as a host, my responsibility is to ensure that actually whatever you're booking is whatever you're getting.
Yeah.
And Airbnb has that regulation in place. A customer can actually report to you if your photos are not matching what they have checked into. So I always have to ensure that my units are actually updated. If there are any changes, again, I have to ensure that either a retake of the photos is done or I inform the guests who are booking prior.
Okay. So what has been your biggest failure in this business of managing B&Bs? Because it's not all rosy.
I can tell you it's not rosy. Business has character development.
Yeah.
And I think one of my biggest failures, I will say, is working without contracts. And that is where I started now taking contracts and legal documentation very seriously. Because I think 2 years ago, to be precise, I lost almost 1 million shillings because of not documenting a contract. And what had happened is they subcontracted me to do an interior design project for a commercial client. This was a business complex that I was designing. So the first disbursement of money went okay. And because this is an agreement that we mutually agreed, I didn't see any red flags. And trusting people in business also comes with consequences. And when the contract, or rather when the project was done and it was time for my money to be remitted, because also remember in interior design, according to the arrangements in place, sometimes you have to use your own money to finish a project and then the client does the final disbursement.
Yeah.
So at this point, let's say nilioshwa. And that is when I realized that business failures are real.
Yeah.
One time you can have money and the next time you don't have money.
Yeah.
And it really took a toll on me.
Yeah.
And I thank God because you as my mentor actually were there to help. You didn't know because I didn't even disclose this, but you helped in several ways.
Yeah.
And also having supportive people around you helps a lot when it comes to business failures. But to any business person who is listening, kindly do not engage in projects if you do not have the legal documentation in place.
Okay.
Do not trust anyone. This is what I've learned in this business. So I always have to counter check things. I have to read through contracts just to ensure that I am protected and my clients are also protected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So beyond business, how has my mentorship influenced your personal growth?
This is something
just
that
knowing Kate.
Yeah.
And me being a big sister to you, me being your client, in one unit, and now going to be another client in another unit. What have you really learned from me, and how has that helped you to grow in your business or even in your personal life?
A lot. You know, Kate, you're like, the Italians call it a lasagna.
Oh.
You have different layers. The first time I met you, you were very calm, very composed, and I was like, wow, this is such an amazing lady that I would love to be associated with. And I do not take it for granted, because this is not something that I meet on a daily basis. And I think my relationship with you has grown from that of a client to now a friend and a mentor, because that is how I see you. And I will say your impact on my life is not just business-wise, because you have challenged me. And I remember just from the first day of meeting you, you asked me, what are you planning to do with your career? Are you going for your master's? What are you doing? Like, you've always wanted to know what I am up to. And this has really pushed me to the next level.
Yeah.
Right now, as we speak, I am in the process of pursuing my higher education, doing the placements in place. And you've actually taught me to believe in myself. That is one thing I've learned from you again.
Wow. Okay.
You've taught me a lot, long-term investments. I do not have, let's say, the mentality I had in my early 20s in terms of investments was very vague. But every time I meet with you and you tell me about your stories, your anecdotes, sometimes you don't even, your style of mentoring is not the traditional of sit down, okay, today, Claire, let's talk about this.
No.
I've realized you give anecdotes more, and I learn from those anecdotes. I actually love listening to this, and this has impacted my life, especially on the investment perspective, preparing myself as a young adult, and just how I relate with people. Yeah, because unfortunately, our generation, we are going to be very hyper independent. But being with you and having you on board has actually taught me that I need people to grow. Okay. I need to network. I need to put myself outside there and not just imagine things will fall from heaven, but I have to actually put in the work. So you've really been impactful to my life, and I am super grateful. Yes, being around you is the most amazing thing. You know, people talk about divine connections. You are that divine connection.
Destiny shaper.
Exactly.
In other words.
Yes.
Okay. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. What would you tell a young person, a Gen Z, wanting to go to get into this business or into any other business, and generally about life as we wind down?
The unpacking of life, I will say sometimes life feels unscripted, but it is divinely scripted. So it's about you finding your purpose, aligning yourself to the right people and to the right place. Especially to the young people, I will say the process is important. We have a tendency of having instant gratification. And in business, I realize I can't operate with instant gratification. I can't say I want this now, and let it happen. Because Kate, you are actually one of my first clients when it comes to interior design.
Really?
I don't even know how you trusted me, by the way. But to any young person who's listening to this, I will say, operate on the benchmark of excellence. Okay. You might not have all it together, but learn, and always push the excellence standards to be better. Okay. Because I can assure you, what I did for you as the first client is not what I'm currently doing. Yes. There are many things that you have helped me shape along the way in terms of management, in terms of client interactions, that have actually built me as a business owner. Mm-hmm. So my last parting shot is for people to actually align themselves to what they want to pursue in the long term. For me, I always ask myself, is this something that I want to do for the next 10 years? If not, what next? So that is how I shape my own life. Mm. But above all, again, you have to trust in your God-given capabilities. Confidence is very important. And I remember in my last job, someone told me, maybe my name is Claire Angoye. For some reason, everyone assumes I am Angoye, but I am not. Not because I love money, but I think the passion and the dedication that I put to pursue what I really want is always top notch. Okay. Yeah, so to any person listening, always give your best shots. Okay. Yeah. The rewards will come, but trust the process.
Wow. Thank you so much. You've been an amazing guest.
Thank you, Kate.
And I hope they have learned a lot from you.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the episode. If today's story has resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. Stay bold, stay inspired.